All right, today is going to be, a very practical session. A lot of times, I think when we want to make postcards, we forget how to do it. We don't know exactly. So I just wanted to go step by step on different ways, really just one or two ways. And I do use Express Stop. That's what I used from the previous company. It's what I'm comfortable with. I'm not saying you have to use them. But they're a good company, and there's a few reasons why. So let me share. All right, so we're gonna learn how to order postcards. Okay, so they are direct marketing, direct mailings, whatever you may call them, and it is one way of prospecting. It's really back in the day. We did it a lot. Okay, and there's sometimes this is the only thing that we did. And I have seen really good top agents use that. Now, it doesn't have to be postcards, it could be letters. I have like a big team that is probably not big in my area where I live, but they had one listing, and he wasn't like the main agent, and he was one of the members of the team, and it was like, oh, new listing. It was just a piece of paper, color, and it was handwritten, and it was in a regular envelope, and he said, oh, I have a new listing. And then after um it got under attorney review, it was like, oh, went under attorney review. He sent it out like four times, like it's under contract, now it's sold. And honestly, I don't know if it did business. Like I don't see another listing by them, but you can see why top agents do use it. There is some return on it, and there are some returns on it. It just, you have to be in it for the long haul. So I remember I sold one condo and I was so excited back in the day, and I was like, I'm gonna do a postcard for just the building, and I just did like 300. It was a big building, and I didn't do it afterwards. So what I mean, it's for the long haul. You have to think about what your plan is going to be and what your budget is going to be. Okay, because just you do it once does not is not going to get you the return on the investment that you think you're going to get. They do say it takes about 6 to 18 months to get some kind of return. I did get several calls, but again, if I'm doing them on a regular basis, you're creating some kind of trust, even the people that don't know you. And this is why we're on the internet, and some people talk on the, and we have our faces on our cards. It's unlike any other business. If you work in corporate America, nobody really has their face, but you'll see like insurance agents or real estate agents will have, because you are building that trust because you are the brand. Okay. So that's what is they're doing. We're putting our faces out there. We're putting ourselves out there. And when you are creating that market for yourself and that brand, then people start to see like, oh, I seen her face before. Oh, I seen the letter she's giving. She sent out. Oh, she must be everywhere, even though you're not. But that's kind of the reasons why people do it. And if you do it for a long term, that it is creating that, trust in you, and also familiarity. Like they kind of know you, they think they know you, they're more comfortable with you, and they may not be thinking of, selling at that moment, but you just never know when they are thinking of moving. So they may, a lot of them, I would say majority of them will look at the postcard and throw it away. But if some reason something happened and you got the postcard, then you might keep it and say, I might call that person if I'm kind of like thinking about it. Okay, so it's luck, right? It's timing, but it's also consistency in what you're going to do as far as prospecting. Um, so sellers are out there, and so are buyers actually. And I got this from NAR. There are life-changing events happening all the time. Within 2 years, there's 7 million newborn babies, 3 million marriages, 1.5 million divorces. There's changes happening all the time, no matter how tough the market is, or when we think that, oh, nothing's happening, it's dead, or I can't get deals happening. There are life-changing events happening, whether we want it or not. There's deaths, there's marriages, there's divorces, there's things happening, and you just never know when you are sending out that
Hello?
postcard or doing something,
Hello,
that
Stephanie.
it would be, it would be that those
Right.
moment, okay? So I do want to make sure you understand that, it's not going to be like, oh, I'm not gonna, I can't do this. There's nobody selling. But there are life-changing events. There are people who are leaving. There are people who are leaving to different states, retiring, new jobs. So think about that, and think about also what kind of budget you're going to have for these postcards, because they're not free. Okay. So you have to think about how long you're going to do it, how often you're going to do it. Now you can use AI to kind of help you. I've sat with agents and say, like, create a marketing plan for me. I'm going to do direct mailing postcards, and give me some ideas, or give me some, what could I put in there? This is who I want to target. I want to target sellers, or I want to target a certain area. And, I want to target people who are maybe thinking about downsizing. So those are the things that you can kind of like brainstorm with AI and kind of come up with things. But look at it as a long term, okay? One and done is not going to make it. So you're just wasting, let's say, $600 if you're just going to do it once. All right. So really, we're going to the same place, and I like to always map it out first, and then I'll show you how. I'll give you guys a live demo. We're in, Max Tech, and we're in Bold Trail. And remember, every time I always try, when we are in, Bold Trail, I always like to emphasize that you have to get your profile set up. You have to have your IDX set up. You have to have your MLS IDs, your photos, your information all set up on the Max Tech, profile page, and make sure that is filtering through. And then you're going on the left side is the marketing, and then we're going to Design Center. I did do a Tuesday mastermind on the Design Center on the various things that you can do in the Design Center, but today we're just really going to focus on postcards. All right, so like I said, when you're in the Design Center, there is print media, and out of the print media there's various things that we can do, and we're going to focus on the postcard designs. Okay, so if you click on the postcard designs, or if you scroll down, you'll see that there's 201 templates. Now they're all different kinds of template. There's the holiday templates, there's tips, there's lead generating, or there's getting agent recognition. There's a lot of different things, and most of the time we do use it for listing promotion. If you have a listing and you want to put it out there, there is actually a stat done with NAR that if there is a new listing in that neighborhood, within a few miles, there's going to be somebody else listing their property. So people are looking, and people are looking for the signs. They're looking for things that are on sale, and that sometimes triggers them to be like, maybe right now is the time to do it. I see Mr. Jones down the street, putting their house for sale. And that's why you get the nosy neighbors, coming to the open houses, because they are curious. All right, so out of the 201 designs, like I said, there are subcategories. You won't need the recruiting. It's the seasonal events, agent highlight, like if you had successes, listing promotion, community, all of those different things that you can use. And you choose it, and then it from 200, it does filter down to, like, let's say 38 or whatever, depending on the subcategory. So you can look at that, or you can just do view all and see everything that's out there. All right, so I did pick a random one. I think it was like a lead generating one. It says, and you can see right here, page one and page two. So once there are things that you can adjust, there's a lot of things that you can adjust. And if you don't like what they're saying here, you can, again, use AI to help you to write something, or leave it as is. And, if you have a co-agent, you can do that. And if you have a team or brokerage, you can add that. The only thing I would say you really can't do, and someone kind of helped me realize that, is that maybe add a separate logo. That's kind of hard to do. I think, that was a little bit difficult to do. So, but after that, you can download it. And when you download it, you can send it to your own vendor. Okay, your own printer. Now, if you have your own print, I've had agents that had their own printer and vendor that would print stuff, and it's much cheaper. It is, and if you're doing like 1,000 of them, the price drops significantly, and so you might want to do that. But I'll tell you why I choose, Express Docs, is because, yes, it costs more, but actually they give you ways to create address lists. So let's say, for instance, you want to target a certain address. You don't have to go separately to MLS or, cold realty, although you can do that. And that's a really good way to do that. And there are people who farm a certain area, specifically, and that's always what they've done. And also, there are people who farm to their past clients. So even though they're all sporadically placed with past clients, they always like to send it to them to let them know that, hey, I'm still doing business, I'm still around, and that's kind of their strategy. So everybody kind of has a different strategy. So I print with, the Express docs, and I will go over like step by step on why I do that. And when it does say, hey, where you're going to Express docs, it does give you that one time, 20% code. So you can use it, copy it and use it. And then you just save and continue. And then it opens up another page. I've created my account through Express Docs, but why it's going to be important that you go through here is that it will recognize you as a Remax agent and all your collateral and all of the, images will have Remax on there. Okay. So this is very small. So you can see right here, it does open it, and it does have KV Core on there, Westfield, our headquarter office, and different types. You can see the price table, and I will show that as well. And different coding. If it's gloss coding, it's 1 cent more. There's like a subscription that they have that they do they have their own plan, and that's of course extra. And there's different things that you can do. So I click on the pricing tables. I want to kind of show you guys what the price is. The less you do, of course, it's going to cost more. Okay, so if you're doing a lot, and I'll tell you what the difference is between the first class standard and the shipping. So the first class is basically, honestly, if you're doing local, it's not getting there much faster. Okay, what it does is when you send it out and the recipient is no longer there or you couldn't deliver it, it does get returned back to you saying, hey, this is an incorrect address or this is not valid anymore. That person is not there anymore. So if you are doing your own list, it's a really good way to maybe touch base with that person or take that person out or just say, hey, what happened? I sent you something and it got returned. It might be like a time for you to like talk to that person, but that's what it does. That's the first class. The standard mail is the same thing. I don't find that it's getting there faster, especially again, local mail. It's not, you know, it's not like first class is going to be express mail. And they do get there pretty quickly. Standard mail is basically when the address is not valid or, that person is not there or they basically throw it away. Okay. And they don't really return it. So you have no idea who that person now. If you're randomly, sending stuff out like you don't know who they are, and let's say I have a just sold and I just like want to do maybe 200 around that area, then I'm probably going to just choose standard mail because I don't care about the person who's on that list. Okay. And it's just a one-time thing that I did for my listing at that time. Okay. So, and again, the EDDM is the everyday door, every door mailing, and it is much cheaper. Okay. It is much cheaper, and a lot of people do that. It's just, and I'm going to show you in the demonstration why it's cheaper. You have really no choice. It goes by like postal codes and postal routes, and it doesn't have a person's name, and it'll just say like local customer or postal customer on there as the name. It's like what those maybe Chinese takeout places send out. They just send a mass, mailings of maybe their menu, and it just says local customer or something like that. And you're just choosing not just the zip code, but their idea of like an area, and you have to choose that. You can't really, so if you're choosing that one area, and there's 1,000 of them, you have to choose all 1,000 of them. So there's really no way of changing that. Second, and the lastly is it's the shipping. It gets sent to you. Of course, it's going to be cheap because you're going to pay for the postcard. So let's say if you're just doing a nice postcard for like maybe happy birthday and you have like 100 of them, you just send it out to, your clients. You might have it shipped to you and then you do it personally like one or two at a time. All right, and then after you choose all of that, it does take you here and it does help you with the create the address list. And this is why I would pay the extra money to use Express Docs than to, and I don't know, and maybe your vendor, you could take it to them and they could print it for you and they also can create address lists. I don't know, but I've always used them, so this is why I wanted to kind of go over them, and they are part of our approved vendor. So when you click on create address list, there's a different pop-up that comes up and you can upload the list. Now, where would this list come from? Again, it could be your list, okay? It could be a list that, let's say, hopefully you guys were on the Tuesday Mastermind for the Cold Realty and you created a list, right? Remember with Cold Realty, you can, filter it by if they have an American Express card or how long they lived or in that house or what kind of hobbies do they have if they're into golf and maybe you're going to use golf and like pictures and images like those things and you can be really creative, but we're not, I mean I wouldn't so much narrow it down, but you can. So you can upload that list from Cold Realty. Now, my one of my favorite is the radius list. Like again, if I'm just doing an area and I'm not specific on who I don't have a specific list. I do the radius list. And what that does is you put a certain address and you put it there, and then they just go around and they choose and they ask you like how many you want to do. They choose the street. So you'll see like, oh, Broad Avenue, because it's a big street, will have 70. And main like small street, John Street will have like 3 because it's a smaller street. So they do kind of randomly pick the addresses there. So it just is kind of like you just think about it, you don't think about it, you just do the radius and you just send it out. Now, street lists is like say you're familiar with that town and you want to target certain streets. You say, let's say Anderson. And then when you put Anderson, they'll tell you there's about 200 of the addresses, then you pick there. Okay. And then let's say my target is to do 500 and then I might do like Abbott. And then I go and I click on Abbott. And then so if I can, and if it becomes like 486 and I'm good with that, that's how you can choose to do that list. Now, this demographic thing is new. I never saw that before. But it's kind of like a cold realty. It does ask you, it does filter like male, female, age, how long they've lived in that home, what their income is, what their net, what kind of assets, something like that. It's very detailed. You can do that. However, it's a paid option. So I did see that it did filter it, and they're like, if you want to use this list, it's like, I don't know, $3 something for each time you do something. Okay, so you can use that. Now, again, this is the neighborhood search, and I'm going to show you EDDM, and it is the cheapest option, so you can use that, and then we'll go over that. And again, property owners, I didn't honestly, I think I just kind of like went over it, so I didn't really go over that. So we'll take a look and see what that looks like. All right, you can customize your own. Okay, so let's say we're on Design Center, and I picked something, and fine, you went to Express Docs and you're mailing that out, but you just, I don't like any of that design. I have my own logo. You can create your own design. And the way I would do it is go to Canva and or whatever thing that you have, Adobe, whatever systems that you have. But I would say Canva is really the easiest, and you can create something really great. And you just search up postcards. You can even do like real estate postcards, and they give you a bunch of templates and you just modify it. Okay, so I'm not really going to go over that because that would be like a Canva thing. And then you go here and then you go into postcards. Okay, this is the homepage of Express Docs. And you see, so I had a really hard time. So I already know these things with the black marked off are the ones, and it'll say like here mailing on it. That means that's the option for them to mail it for you. So you can upload your photo of the postcard and it's your custom design, but and it's usually the same price, and they send it to you. Go to the end where it says create list, and you can do that. Now the ones that don't have that black block is the ones that gonna ship to you. So one time I did it and I'm like, oh my God, how do I create the list? And it was a big mess. I do have to say their customer service, it was pretty good. I don't know if it still is, but I would create something and I was like, I don't know how to do it. It kept on going into the red space, and when I called the customer service, they were able to adjust it for me to keep going. So, and then you upload the photo. I would be just making sure you see right here what the size is. So I would look at which postcard you want to use and look at the size and create that size in Canva. You can do like postcards and then make sure you have that size, and it'll be like an easier way to make sure it fits. Okay. And here is the live demo. Any questions before we go into the live demo? Okay, so we're here, we're in marketing. I clicked on marketing here on the left side and then design center. And again, I'm going into print media and you'll see the postcards, right? And again, if you were here on the design center, Tuesday Mastermind, you kind of have to wait until the subcategory comes in. And a lot of times a lot of people will go to the listing promotion. Okay, and we put the listing information in, and then you can do it. I don't have a listing right now, so prepared. So I'm just going to choose a random one. So I picked one, and here's the information. And again, you can change the wording on here and make sure everything is to your standard. And you can see the information. I'm just gonna see like here. You can change it. You can swap and you can include your own photo on here if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm gonna go to print to Express Docs, and then it says save and continue. I think the most important thing that I want to cover is the address part. Everything else is self-explanatory. Again, you can look at the pricing here. Okay, this is the pricing table. And if I start with like, let's say standard, this came up, it's the design. I guess gloss is the cheapest one. And then I'm going to go into the distribution option. And then here's the create the list. Okay. So here's the radius, and I don't know if I need a specific, and so it does give you the list. It tells you they gave me 7 streets. Again, this is the radius list. And you can go in and modify it, and you say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. But and then you can go ahead and hold on and save it. And then you go here, resident or occupant, and then you have to agree to the terms, and then you create the list. Okay. So that's one way. And I want to also go over the neighborhood EDDM, and let's say by zip code, view results. So these are all the postal codes that areas that they have. You see this one section, you have to go through these sections. So here it's 504 records. So you can't like really modify that. You just have to use them. And maybe you can, yeah. So this is, let's say you're okay with that. That's 504. So you have to agree to that, and then here, and then create. And when you do that, it is a cheaper, way to put it in. And then here's the upload list. You just have to choose a file, and it has to either be an Excel or CSV. And then it's pretty simple. I don't have a list for me to upload, but you can do that. And then the street list. Right, so let's say go here. They do ask for no, I couldn't do it. Maybe I just don't know the name, but you can add the streets, and then they give it to you. You can go into it and also take stuff out as well. And then you just proceed, and this is the information. And then you just pay for it. Any questions? All right. I would suggest that you guys go in and practice it a little bit, play around with it. You don't have to go buy it yet, but it's always like when you're in a rush, I feel like, then you forgot how to do it. So, just make sure, you're going in there and taking a look at it. All righty. Thanks for joining us, and see you guys next week.
Thank you, Mary.
All
Thank you,
righty.
Mary.
All
Thank you,
right.
Mary.
Great.